story called Four Cows in a Gazebo, and it is actually written by Jedrick Fasadi, but I'm going to reenact it. So, I was sitting there hunting the famous Cornmeal tiger, and I'm sitting there, and I've got my harpoon gun, and I'm sitting in the bushes, and I'm standing there waiting, and I'm waiting, and finally, it comes, and I see it, and I'm like, getting ready, and all of a sudden I feel kind of hungry. So I decide that it's break time, and we get up, and there's a McDonald's right there. So I walk over to the McDonald's, and I order some chicken nuggets, and I'm like, hold the mayo. And they're like, we don't really have any mayo on our chicken nuggets, and then I'm like, that's okay. And so, I get my chicken nuggets, but I decide that I do not have enough money to pay for them. So I give them an IOU, and we move on with life. So, I have to go get the money for these chicken nuggets. So, I go back out, and I'm getting ready, and the Cornmeal tiger is still there. So, I shoot it 3 times in the heart, and it doesn't die. So, my apprentice, Lord Vader, he's standing right next to me, and he slices off his left toe, and he falls right over. I don't know. So, we pick it up, and we're walking around with this big Cornmeal tiger over our shoulders, and this guy stops us from the black market, and he's like, I'll give you some magic beans for that Cornmeal tiger. And we're like, okay. So, we trade him our Cornmeal tiger for these beans, and we go and bury them, and the next day we wake up, and there's a huge beanstalk in our backyard, and we're like, oh, okay, what happened here? So we're climbing up it, and we get to the top, and we're standing on the clouds. New thing for science here, we're standing on the clouds, and so we're walking along, and there's a huge castle in the distance, so we're like, oh, that must be a pretty big castle up in person. So we get up there, and it turns out it's really just big. So there's about that much space under the door, and we slide right through, and we see a ginormous vending machine. So we're like, I kind of want some M&Ms. You want some M&Ms? No, I want some Skittles. Oh, I want M&Ms. No, I want Skittles. Well, you know what? You're just gonna have to settle for Skittles then. So we are looking around, and turns out that there's a huge nickel sitting there on the ground. So we pick up the nickel, and we're rolling it along, and a giant comes in, and he gets so angry that we're trying to steal his nickel. And so he picks up the nickel, and he chucks us right off, but we're hanging on so tight, we just take the nickel with us. And so we're flying through the air, and we go right through the clouds. Turns out that giant stuff does not stand on clouds. So we're falling, and we grab onto the beanstalk, and we're holding on with all our life, and the beanstalk stops breaking. And so we're falling, and we have parachutes. Don't ask me where they came from. So we're pulling our parachutes, and we're watching, and this huge nickel just keeps going, and hits the ground. It turns out it was radioactive. So everyone dies, and we grab a hold of the beanstalk, and we climb back up, and we live.